This is the Agency Balance Podcast, where we talk about agency life, client relationships, and your own personal balance. Agency Balance is sponsored by SmartAcre. SmartAcre helps you automate, enhance, and accelerate your B2B marketing. Visit GetSmartAcre.com to get your free marketing and sales assessment.
Here are your co-hosts of the Agency Balance Podcast, David Snyder.
And I'm Lisa Zwickel.
Welcome to the final episode of Season 2 of the Agency Balance. I'm Dave Snyder.
I'm Lisa Zwickel.
Thank you so much for joining us on this final episode. It's going to be a little bit of a retrospective. And Lisa, if I'm sounding extra bassy, it's because I was sick the last couple of weeks.
It's been a rough couple of weeks.
It's been a rough couple of weeks. So I had COVID. I had bronchitis. So this might be like my permanent voice. Bronchitis, I've never had that before. It sucked.
I'm sure. I don't know if I've ever had it.
It feels like somebody's sitting on your chest and you can't breathe. Yeah, it's no joke. We were talking this morning as we were getting set up about getting old. I think bronchitis is like an old person's thing they get.
An old person's thing. Or a young person's thing, right?
Can little kids get that?
I feel like they can get everything. I
don't know if my kids ever had that. I know they used to get like that thing and they got the nebulizer. Did your kids ever use a nebulizer? Mm-mm. Do you know what that is? Mm-mm. It's like this little like mechanical, it's like a box that's like a breathing thing. It like it's one of those respirators they put.
Oh yeah, we've never had to do that.
And it puts in like moisture into their thing or whatever, like with some medicine.
Yeah.
I feel like my kids use that like all the time. They like, oh, just put them on the nebulizer.
Yeah, we've had a lot of humidifiers and steamy showers.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, we're pumped for this final episode. We're happy to share that we have now over 1,000 listeners.
It's wild.
Woo! 1,000 listeners after 2 seasons. We had 10 guests, 10 different guests this season.
So many different voices and perspectives.
I agree. And as I was going through the clips that we're going to take you through, and if you haven't had a chance to listen back at some of those episodes, we're going to take you through some of the highlights, maybe talk about them a little bit. And 8 different countries. That's crazy to me too. That people want to listen to us in other countries. That's cool. Thank you, everybody that's listening. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And we're starting to book season 3. We have some great guests already lined up, some cool new things. So that will be coming out probably early this fall. I can't believe we're getting into fall already. It's good. We have a hurricane going on right now. So in the middle of this, we'll either lose power or there'll be rain pelting on our windows.
Or we'll get distracted.
It's in a lull right now. So awesome. So before we get into talking about our past guests and listening to them, I want to start with surprises this year. Things that have surprised you. Has anything surprised you this year?
I feel like life is always full of surprises. It's been a year.
Yeah.
I think that from a business perspective, we just thought this year was going to steady out, even out. But for marketers, I think anyone in the sales and marketing space, it has not at all, especially in the agency space. It's been interesting. My take on it is marketers, CMOs, marketing leaders are shy on what move to make, where to invest, and what to do, because typical things have not been working. Google's algorithm has changed so much this year. AI is evolving at a rapid pace. So I think it's hard to decide what to do, where to invest. I've seen so many marketers just stop investing in tools like Google Ads and totally change their playbooks, which is exciting, but it's also surprising. It's also full of surprises.
Yeah. I'm taking a sip of water. I'm going to be doing that a lot in this episode. I can feel it. I'm going to try to not cough. It's like, I don't know if it's paralysis by analysis by paralysis or whatever they say. You know, like you overanalyze things and you're trying to be so precise on what you're doing and try not to make the wrong decisions, so then you end up don't making any decisions.
Right.
I think one of my biggest learnings this year for us specifically, I wrote down was like, I always to a fault, probably. I make decisions pretty quickly, but I've tried to make them even more quickly now and continue to fail fast. So fail fast, what that means is like you can just analyze and overanalyze and do things and try to figure things, well, we'll try this or whatever, and then it takes time. But just make a decision, try it, move forward with it. If it doesn't work, no effing big deal. Just try something different then. Because if you're not trying and you're not failing forward, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all for that. And I think that that's part of the reason why marketers have been pulling back on certain things, because to me, I'm all for failing fast as long as you can learn from it. But I always like to calculate the risk, do a little risk analysis, and make sure that no matter what decision I make, I know the impact. So pulling back on Google ad budget, for example, if marketers can't measure the ROI on it per se, then what is the risk? Like maybe just save that $10,000 plus a month and just stop doing it and try something else and see what happens. See if you can do something faster that has a bigger, faster impact.
Yeah, I was consulting yesterday with a longtime friend of SmartAcre, and he was asking about that. He's like, where should I put my money? And I was like, well, before you even do that, let's look at the problems you're solving as a service. So let's do the Google searches, the whole zero click where people are finding their information, not only on like when you start keying it in and you're getting the answers, but Gemini being up top trying to generate the response. Then you're getting sometimes ads. You're going to skip over that. We're trained to skip over that. And then you're looking for those answers to your questions. If you're in that phase of searching if you're not searching for something specific to seek out an individual, a business, but you're trying to get a question answered, you might get that. You probably will get that answer before you even click into something now. Mm-hmm. So that's why you're seeing traffic drop. That's why you're seeing people not take that next step. So how do you lean into that? How do you create content that somebody is still going to engage with? I was like saying that out loud, but then it turned into a question. So how do you do that? How are you doing that right now for, some of our clients and our own stuff?
Instead of trying to wait for someone to engage with you, I've been, for SmartAcre and for our clients, looking at ways that the brand, the business can be engaging, whether that's through online communities, through shifting what always used to be organic social content to more thought leadership content. Founder-led branding, I think, is huge right now and makes such an impact because it gives you that organic, natural, authentic human voice. But personally, and what I've seen working for SmartAcre is being out in communities, B2B marketing communities, leadership communities with other C-level execs, and helping them solve their problems when they're searching for something in that moment through people that they trust.
Yeah, I bet your analytics are all screwed up. Like, I'm just saying, like, listeners, like, if you look at your analytics, like referral traffic, direct traffic, organic, like it's all wonky. The data is all wonky because the way that people are coming in and out and clicking and searching for you is there. I don't know. That's what I think. I just think every time I look at analytics, it's really hard. It's really hard to kind of put those touch points along the way, and then you're constantly being asked, well, why are we down? Why are we not getting the leads? Why isn't this working? So you have to be able to think differently on that. It's ridiculously hard right now. I think it's really hard. And I don't know if there's like a breaking moment. Hold on, I'm gonna belch. We can cut that part out if we want, or leave it in there. Like, I don't know if there's like this tipping point for the way that we're talking about search and people finding and all that stuff, but I don't know.
My take on it is that good marketing is still going to be good marketing, and all the lazy tactics or repeatable things or things that you can just do in a thoughtless manner it's just going to get worse. It's going to make the good brands and the good marketers, the good salespeople stand out, and everyone else, you're just going to get lost in the noise.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, like I think I shared this around, and I'm going to give credit where credit's due to Rand Fishkin. Fishkin, is that how you say his last name? Yeah, Rand, you have the best facial hair. I'm so envious. You always continue to innovate, and your glasses. But anyways, I'm digressing. He talked about, like, we're trained, right? We're trained to use apps to stay natively in the apps. We're trained to not click on anything in emails because it could be bad, it could be phishing, it could be wrong. Mm-hmm. We're trained to not pick up the phone because of spam calls and now being scared that if I talk, they're going to use my voice. We're on social platforms where they want us to stay on platform, so they're training us to say, don't use links. If you don't stay on our platform and you link out, or you put something that's going to take people away from our platform, that we're not going to reward you. Look at the way Instagram and all, like, they never put links. Like, it does, if you put a link in there, it's not going to link. So these algorithms are already discrediting those posts, right? I could probably go on and on, but this is the way we're trained now. So how do you break through? How do you break through on that? How do you break through on that? It's hard. I think I agree with you, right? I think still do good marketing, and drawing back to what I was doing yesterday, and then I'll shut up. I'll let you talk. I was like, look for the problems that you're trying to solve and put out good content. So, like, video. So still produce, I think YouTube, and we're doing this for ourselves, like, I think YouTube is still untapped for marketers, that you could be putting out good video content that is going to help somebody make a decision. And they may or may not go with you, but at least you're educating in that. So do the searches, use Google Trends to see what word outperforms another over the last 9 months. It's something that I use. I don't know. This is the part where I shut up.
I think that listening is so key, and tools like, there's so many AI tools now that instead of using them to produce content, using them to analyze content or play back common themes, I think is really, really critical for being able to understand your audience. We've always talked about personas and ICPs, and I think as marketers, we get very markety in how we define them. But now there's so much data at our fingertips that you can literally go through an online community of your target audience and analyze what are they saying? What are the common pain points? You can use LinkedIn to stay on platform without being a thought leader and putting yourself out there. Like, I know so many clients are struggling to get their salespeople to be thought leaders on LinkedIn. Don't worry about being a thought leader. Worry about being a listener. Worry about finding who your target audience is and seeing what they're talking about, seeing what events they're going to, looking on the event page, seeing what are the main keynote speakers or what are the topics that everyone's talking about. That's just one example, but there's so much information out there that you can use to tailor your messaging, tailor how you're even targeting your audience, and take what used to be really, really big budgets and use them in a much more strategic way.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Hey, that's good stuff, Lisa.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. Shameless plug, if you want to book Lisa's time and talk to her about these things, she is available. We're going to put that link on agencybalance.com where you can book Lisa directly.
Or Dave directly.
Oh, yeah, me too. Me too. If you want to talk to me,
that's been a surprise this year for us. Is more and more marketers are coming to us and saying, "I just need a gut check. I have little faith in what I've used to be doing in the past. I need someone that I can just bounce an idea around. I need a peer CMO, or I need someone that can be my CMO, but not full time, just in a temporary capacity to help point me in the right direction." So yeah, if you need that, we have that available with myself, Dave, our other SmartAcre leaders. It's been a need for marketing and sales leaders to have that gut check. And we're really good at giving you a confident boost or telling you if you have a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Or that we've seen it fail in the past.
It is. Yes. So take us up on that. If you want to just talk, you can book us directly on our site. I think that is it. It's there's this, back to the point of like people get paralyzed. They're just so afraid to make the wrong mistakes because they're just, for whatever reason, if they're new in the org. But yeah, happy to bounce ideas off. We've been doing this a long time, and we don't have all the answers, but we have seen enough to know to get you going in the right direction for sure.
Yep.
Topic change, the balance things. I was thinking this morning, actually, or last couple of weeks, I was on vacation, and then just like trying to get my zen back of balance, and I wanted to talk to you about some of the things being through a difficult year. How can you kind of remind and keep yourself and pinch yourself every once in a while to keep balance? Like, so one of the things I'm trying to continue to do is like continue to not sweat the small stuff and just like let it go. If it whatever, it's not for me. I'm trying not to overanalyze things. I'm not trying to like nitpick things. I'm just like, go, like let it. And that's my personal life too, especially as like my kids are now like young adults. In age years, they're young adults. They got a long way to go. Sorry, mom and dad, when I was that. So anything that you're trying to do for kind of balance and self-improvement right now?
So much. I think for me, every year that goes by, I'm more honest with myself around my faults. And I know that habits are habits. Like for me, for example, in points of stress, I go until I just break. And that's a really hard thing for me to see in myself. So I've started to realize I can't rely on myself to recognize that. So I have been intentional in finding people that can call me on my shit, which I think is really important. Actually, one of our guests this season, Erica Butler from Hire, she's one of those people from me. She also runs a business. She's also a mom. She also deals with a lot of stress and pressure. So we meet with each other once a month just as a peer-to-peer, and we tell each other what's going on, and she calls me on my shit. She asked me a question during our last meeting that brought me to tears, and she was like, Lisa, you need to go talk to a therapist. And I wouldn't have seen that in myself. She's like, this is going to help you so much. You're going to be able to just, have a different perspective on things. It's another person in your corner that will help you out when you need someone to like loosen that pressure and have an outlet for you. So yeah, that have people, whether it's you, no matter how you frame it, maybe it's like your personal board of directors or advisors, those people that you need to have in your corner. Find people that will call you on your shit.
Oh, I love that. We're going to print that on a t-shirt. Like if you hop over to YouTube, the t-shirt I'm wearing today is Truffle Shuffle. Shout out to the Truffle Bar. We'll put a link in the amazing chocolates. He is a truffle that is from the Goonies. Do you remember the Goonies?
Yeah.
Okay. It's Chunk, and he would do the truffle shuffle and he would shake his belly. And I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Good segue with Erica. Let's listen to Erica.
So what I have found, I'm just speaking from personal experience, it's not profit or team. They just are so blended. They just go so hand in hand, because when you have the right team, the profit grows and the profit is there and you run a successful business. So what I have found is always pick the team, always prioritize the team, but you can't just give $5,000 bonuses to everyone and go broke. You can't do that. But can you do a really heartfelt note and gift card if the sales are down that year? What can you do that shows your team that you prioritize them, care about them, being creative? I will say in general, like I said, prioritize the team, but there might be a really rough year. It happens in major Fortune 100 organizations and small businesses that you literally you just lost some key clients and you need to let some people go. And that is so hard and is so, it just is not fun for anyone involved, but it's the right thing for the business and for the majority of the team. And I have learned not to feel it's sad, it's hard, but it's the right thing to ensure that business moves forward. And if you communicate that the right way in your real relationships, you're still putting the people first. You're being honest and transparent.
I love her. She's so smart.
Yeah. Great wisdom from Erica Butler, and we'll link up her info. Great wisdom there. We'll drop a link to the books that she's mentioning as well. But she's talking about like team and hiring for talent and hiring the A players, and like during a stressful time of the economy that we're in, I think it magnifies when there's areas of weakness on a team member. Things aren't, you're obviously, you're taxing, you're watching every dollar, and those are being, spent. But then you also need to balance the what she was talking about there of like the cost of replacing folks that if they go away, the inherent things. But anything else that you wanted to draw out there?
It's hard to do the right thing. It often is. So just having that other perspective or challenging yourself to look at it from the other side of it, I think is really important. And Erica, if you ever have questions about the people side of things, she's a great resource. Check her out, send her a message on LinkedIn. She always challenges me to look at things differently. And I think that that's so important for different aspects of your business, to have those people that can challenge you of just, have you thought about it this way? Or what's the risk? You really have to think about it from both angles so that you can make a fast decision, but feel confident in your decision.
Yep. Very well said. All right, let's jump into another clip here. And this comes from Sharon Mostyn, and we were talking about privacy. This was our very first, this was 11 months ago. So let's see if this still holds up in the terms of what has happened with privacy 11 months later.
So that's a CAN-SPAM compliance if you're in the US, or CASL if you're in Canada. And basically what they're doing is they're working around loopholes. And the loophole is that you can contact someone, general guidelines are once, with a list that that you've acquired, whether that's at a trade show or through other nefarious means, maybe AI. but if you the way that the CAN-SPAM laws and the way that the email laws are written, it says you have to do some of these things. You have to identify that it is an advertisement. You have to give a physical address, not a PO box, a physical address. You have to give them an option to opt out. All of those things that you have to do in order to be CAN-SPAM compliant don't necessarily mean that they can't email you. It just means that they have to give you that option. Now, if you respond to those emails, then they'll put you on another list that gives you all of the emails.
Spam.
So much spam. Will you ever take a cleaning company seriously again?
Oh my gosh. We get so many inquiries about cleaning. A good example was there was a period of time we didn't have an office, but they still wanted to clean our office. I'm like, I don't have an office anymore. I didn't respond to them. So two things, right? So two things. First is anybody that I have engaged with in a prospect setting for like us, like we have a lot of companies, new software, potential partners or solutions that out there that we could potentially use. We get a lot of those, right? Like, hey, you need to try us, and this is why you need to buy this list, or whatever it is. If I have taken a call or I have engaged, I will be honest with them now, and I will give them feedback like, hey, listen, not in it for us. Check me back a year. The other thing is like, if it's like the price is just out of whack, I just try to be so honest with them and give them an answer, because that's the type of respect that I would want to get as a salesperson. And this ghosting thing that happens when you are engaged, it drives me nuts. And I think we all as salespeople can do a better job with just responding. It takes a few seconds. You're going to probably get off their list and they're going to stop hounding you. So just ask, like, so give a response if they're asking a response, if they're engaged. That's the first thing I wanted to share. Do you do that?
I mean, I still answer my phone, and if I get a good BDR on the phone or a good salesperson, I'll tell them. But I'm also not shy to say, hey, if you need help with your sales enablement, we can help you with that. I've gotten emails that are so bad that I just can't help myself. I have to respond and just say, your personalization is way off. You need to do some more research. This is just so terrible.
Yep, I've done that too. I've been honest. I try to help when I can, but it's so hard. Since that recording, I now have 28,000 more unread emails in my inbox. And so it was somebody else posted, they had me way beat. They're almost at 500,000 in their unread in their inbox. So like breaking through with that. And then the same thing goes like with InMail. Like I don't even look at that anymore. It's complete garbage. Prove me wrong, people. Like, drop me a comment and show me how that's working, because it's not working. The other thing is I set up on LinkedIn requests, like service requests, and I'm getting a lot of spam there too. They're finding their way to get, like, anytime you open up a hole for somebody to pour something in, they're going to try to flood you. Like, it's so, yeah, that's a shame. I think, like, there still is more rules coming out with privacy. Like, don't spam people. Like, just be really, really, really pointed with your email. The other thing too with LinkedIn that I stopped doing, and so do this if you're listening and you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, say that you listen to an episode, because if you blind like request to be a connection, and I look at your title and like your whatever that is underneath, like your subject, and it's like totally not irrelevant, or like you're just trying to sell me, I'm not going to engage with you, number one. Number two, I actually think writing sometimes a description can hurt you in a connection, because you read that and you're like, so I'm not doing this. But if it's like, oh, maybe they could be in my universe, then I would connect with them. So that's interesting too.
Yeah, I don't know. I just always hear the Eminem song in my head, like, you only get one shot. Every time that we're doing anything for a client, or if I'm reaching out to a prospect, I feel like you never know when they're just going to tune you out. So your message has to be so good. It has to be so intentional. And that's why marketing is so hard right now. That's why sales is so hard right now. But just do less. Do less and do it better, and know that you get one shot. Right? Like, they might tune you out after that.
Yeah. That's good. I wish we could use Eminem in our episode, but I'm pretty sure that wouldn't get published. So awesome. Let's move on to I think this is with one of our own Smart Acres, Natalie Kelly, on season 2. Let's take a listen to Natalie.
Giving people an option to be heard. A lot of times what we've seen in failed cultures or organizations is that it truly was someone just leading from the top and pulling the employees with them. And instead, the more successful ones are the ones where employees are engaged and they're providing feedback. You hire smart people, use their brains as well to solve problems. You don't have to solve everything. And so that is for me, I think that's one of the number one things. Then also allowing people to be in the space that they're in. If you hired someone, for example, to be in HR, let them be in HR and do that job. Let them shine, if you will, in that space. So I do think that's really, really key. Also, and something that I've really learned at Smart Acre, and it has changed, I think, a lot of how I do things personally and professionally is one, to have an organized system. So truly making sure that your process is down and that you have that identified, but then taking that process and adding in active listening, whether that's to your clients, to your employees, to your leadership team, whatever you need to mix those two can truly elevate anything that you're doing, and also makes everything a lot easier. Because when we are resisting, whether that be change or anything that's happening within our workforce or in our home at that time, whenever we're resisting that, you're spending so much energy on that you can't truly show up and bring everything to the table.
Common themes.
Right? Common themes, yeah. Woo, Natalie Callie, what's up? Shout out. Yeah, it's absolutely, I think as a leader, you have your own opinion of things, but you're really not in the day-to-day. You're not in their seat anymore, right? It's a privilege to be a leader, and that's something that I was reminded of. It's a skill. Leadership isn't just being at the top. Leadership is a job that you should have to get them to be better, right? Like you need to improve the team. You need to give them skills that they're asking for, that they're striving for, that they don't have, and you're trying to take them to that next step, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts there on what she said?
Natalie is always spot on, especially with the people side of things. One thing that's just top of mind for me lately is I'm loving the Olympics. I'm loving the USA women's gymnastics and watching Simone Biles just dominate. But her personal story and the way that she is not just an athlete and a competitor, but a leader is so awesome. And she's lifting everyone else up. And I think that that's so important in any leadership role. Is the only way that you can shine is if people around you are shining. And often leaders are focused on what they need to accomplish, what they need to check off. But really the best leaders are helping lift up everyone else around them. And that's truly how you get to grow as a leader. That's truly how you get to take on more responsibilities or shift what you're doing. You have to lift up everyone around you and trust them and build the confidence in them so they know how to make good decisions.
Yep. And another thing that while you were saying that came to mind was HWBT. Have you ever heard that before?
No.
Hard work beats talent. That's a shout out to a quote from Matt Armstrong. Look him up if you're in the car community. He's in the UK. All self-taught, but hard work beats talent every day. That it honestly will. And with the Olympics too, I like basketball. I was watching men's basketball, the USA team, and somebody, I don't know who it was, somebody like in the family or whatever, was like, how are they barely winning? Like, they're supposed to be in the NBA and the best players. I'm like, they don't play together. Like, they're on separate teams, and you put this super team together. They haven't really practiced together, so they're barely winning until like now, like later, as now they're in the gold finals. They're in the finals. They're going for gold. Because now they're coming together and they're working together as a team, and they haven't worked together for so long, so they're still working independently. They're trying to be independent stars, and maybe one person will step up, the other person will step up. But now they're kind of jiving together, where all these other countries, they've been playing together for the last 4 years to prepare for this together. So they know each other. They know their quirks. They know what they eat for breakfast. They know what their family's going on. So when you're in a team mentality, it's going to take time to get that rhythm, and it's going to take time to build that camaraderie. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, love that. Hard work beats talent, 100%.
Yeah, that's a T-shirt that Matt has. You can buy those. All right, next clip. This, and it's coming up on football season, so we had Jeff Atkinson, who is the director of photography for the NFL team Baltimore Ravens, and he just had some really cool things that he was talking about. And this is early into the last well, I don't know how many months ago this was now, but he was talking about some of the innovation, and what I liked about it is storytelling. So let's listen to Jeff.
I mean, literally walking around the guys as they're stretching and working out. And that's, it's when they're laughing and having a good time. And I could start talking to them. And, you mentioned, how do you, tell a story? I could prod a piece a little bit one way or another. If we knew who we were playing, what who was coming into town, if there was any history between things, I could get guys to talk about it. It kind of became like, Jeff, do your thing, like just do your thing, go talk to guys. And I wasn't afraid to do it. I talked to coaches. I just, I'm just a kind of a personal guy. It's just kind of who I am. And that's how it evolved. I mean, even during the game, like, once you get to know guys on that level, if they're on a sideline and you're sitting there shooting them and you're 5-10 feet away, you can say something at some point. I don't do that as much now, but back in the day, now you can do it in the tunnel or with a coach beforehand or, whatever. Maybe get a little sound bite, out on the field during warm-ups and stuff. But you can get some messages in there in addition to what the game itself is. But it is exploded as far as also, as how much content we develop in a day. It is staggering how big our crew is now and how it all integrates between all the different departments. And it is so impressive. And I'm learning stuff every year, and we're trying new stuff every year. We're using new technologies every year, and everything's just getting it faster and faster and faster. Before, we're uploading shots while we're shooting them wirelessly in the stadium to a logging person in the stadium,
Wow.
or at home. It's crazy. Films is doing it. NFL Films is doing it. It's incredible how much it's changed in that respect.
I have something to say about this.
Oh, you
This
do?
is the first thing that came to mind when listening to this, which is related but unrelated. But just the fact that there's so much content in a situation like that, I think that applies to any business that's trying to produce content, and it goes overlooked. We can't all have a personal film crew all the time, right? But there's content being produced in sales calls recording. There's content being produced in internal conversations. There's content being produced on Slack. There's millions of ways content is being produced within businesses, and yet it's something that I still hear so many people struggle with is, we just don't have the time or energy to create content. It's like, no, you don't have the time and energy to put together a content strategy and maybe to extract it, but you're focusing on the wrong thing. You have the content. So just create a process for it, and then boom, you can, it's incredible how much content we produce.
Yep. That's spot on. We're listening to Jeff, is how much his job is to extract. His job is to try to get as much of that, and it's somebody else to put it together, to position it, to package it up. And I think that's the other thing a lot of companies struggle with is like, how do I polish it? How do I spin it? The other day we were talking about, I was like, hey, listen, we just came off that prospect call, and this is one of the use cases we're trying to sell. Why don't we just take that, anonymize it, and then use that for a piece for our own stuff? And it's produced that way. So I think getting creative on how you're creating the content, and then if you don't feel confident in the tools, that's where somebody like us or even a freelancer or somebody else can help you that is better at polishing it to make it better and push it out there. Yeah. And do it in real time. Like that's what he was saying too, is like
Right.
He's doing it in real time. He's shooting photos, he's shooting video, and it's wirelessly sending to the booth, and they're using it on live air on social media. Like how many times you follow a live event and things are progressing on social. It's important to get content out there fast too,
Yep.
because it can get dated. That's what we first talked about. I was like, you shoot this stuff and something happens, people are already on to the next story. I think that happens in business too. If it's a timely, get the content out there quick.
Yep. Yeah, who cares if it's perfect? As long as it's aligned to your overall brand, your tone, your message. It's, especially on channels like communities, it's good to be a little unpolished.
Yep. All right. Our next clip here is Jeff Hill. He's talking about hiring for strengths is a bad idea. I listened back to this a couple times this week. So let's listen in to Jeff, another Jeff.
Yeah, so always been a good writer, right? So content's never been a real issue. Sometimes you have a dearth of ideas or something, someone to help you sort of guide you there. But I'm strong in content generation and development and product marketing, that kind of stuff, right? But not very good in social media at all, right? Not very good with digital ads. Again, enough to be dangerous. On the social media, again, usually, let's face it, it's younger folks that are better at social media. Um, I'm I think there's marginal benefit to all the social media work a lot of people do. I'm not saying I think it's a it can't hurt kind of thing. I don't know that it should be at the core of anybody's objectives to actually generate leads. And it just takes either too long or it's too subtle. Especially for a startup, you have to go much faster. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, right? And it doesn't mean it can't be done better. I'm, SEO, I know enough to be dangerous, like I said, but there's a lot of nuances there, and that's changing rapidly. We joked the other day about hopefully you guys are figuring all that out with ChatGPT and how that's going to impact search and organic search. And by the time I have some money to hire you guys will figure that out for us because I'm not going to try.
I hope so.
Yeah. But yeah, digital ad optimization. Just pull it. We talk about pulling the levers. You can't know how to pull all the levers all the time. Again, I work in HubSpot every day, but I'm by no means a HubSpot expert. So these are the things that those are the examples I tend to use repetitively, but there are others as well. Website updates, landing page design, things of that nature. And there's a good example of that fail fast methodology or that ethos we talked about, where I don't know how many times we'd go through a landing page, it's not working, right? And then you guys would come back, hey, how about this? Maybe this is what's going on. You guys would analyze some of the traffic, some of the metrics, and we draw, but we did it quickly.
Fail fast.
Yeah, he said it there. He said fail fast. I love listening to Jeff. He's humble. He's direct. He's honest, and he's obviously experienced. But what I think for listening back on it, it's like he's good at it. He knows what he's good at. He knows what he's not good at, and he's going to hire those people. He's not going to. I think sometimes my interpretation, like with what you were starting with, was like the strengths is like, don't just keep hiring the same people sometimes because you're not going to get a benefit out of that. It's better to hire like different skill sets, especially if you don't have enough work in certain areas for that. And I think that's important every time you hire somebody, whether if you're a ginormous company that is hiring hundreds of people or you're hiring one. I think it's good to just stop and say, are we hiring for the right person? Like, what are we hiring for? Mm-hmm. What are we trying to solve with adding this person?
Yep. And is this person going to come in and think exactly the way I think, or are they going to think differently? I think diversity is so critical, diversity in thought, diversity in all aspects of how you're hiring, but it really helps you build a team that can challenge each other to raise the bar.
Yep. Oh, that's good. That was a good episode. Definitely listen back on that if you haven't already. We had our first author on the podcast.
It was so ironic how that all came together.
It did, yeah. Jack Skeels, he wrote a book called Unmanaged. I think we have that linked up on the site. You can get a discount code from Jack. I know it's not on Amazon and stuff. And he obviously is like a project manager and an agile background. So let's listen into some of the things that Jack was dropping on us on the AB podcast.
One of the interesting things is if you ask managers what their relationship is with productivity, most managers think of themselves as an engine of productivity. And in fact, this is absolutely not true. And this is proven in Nobel Prize winning research and theory and the like, that actually the amount of managing that goes on inside of an organization, and I'm going to tie this to your intro to this question as well, the amount of managing that goes on inside the organization, which roughly equates to how many people have a manager title, right, is inversely proportional to its productivity. Okay. And that is to say, the more we manage, the harder we manage, the less productivity we get out of the organization. I'm going to tell you a really simple example, which I came came up with, like, literally the day after we published the book, because I was talking to someone about it. And it goes like this. I've got a factory line. I'm back in factory land. And we talk about factory land and, you know, the old industrial model. And I'm a manager, and I have my 8 people on my assembly line, right? And I'm, as a manager, I'm measured. My measurement is, do we get those 200 widgets assembled every day, right? That's my main measure, right? And so maybe I'm thinking, time to be managerial. I think I'll hold a status meeting with everyone, right? And I schedule my one hour status meeting and pull everyone off the assembly line. And during that hour, we don't assemble any widgets at all. Come the end of the week, my supervisor, my manager says, hey, I noticed you only hit 192 widgets this week. What's going wrong? And what went wrong is I took everyone off the assembly line. Okay. And in the old factory model, this was crystal clear. Managers knew that they needed to minimize their impact upon the production function. But that was a very trackable production function, right? It was very obvious how many we're supposed to produce because we're producing the same thing over and over. It was consistent process and the like. And I was the only one to blame if we didn't hit that number. Fast forward. We're in a multi-manager environment where there are multiple people who think that they can conduct acts of managing with impunity, with no cost or anything like that. And when we take the worker's productivity down, who's responsible? The worker. We push it back onto the worker. And this is crazy, but it's all this idea of managerial exceptionalism that it couldn't possibly be a manager decreasing productivity yet. In fact, as we see in agencies, an amazing amount of productivity gets killed by managerial actions. They're just sort of thoughtless. They don't know better. It's not ill-intentioned, but they just don't know better.
Oh, Jack, dropping bombs there.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. I mean, the cost of meetings in terms of agencies, or even with clients, so it's how we conduct our status calls. It's never just, we're just going to tell you what we did. No, we're going to work through things together. We're going to eliminate roadblocks. We're going to collaborate. I think it's, as a leader and not necessarily a manager, I personally think it's really important to be able to not tell people what to do, but show them what to do. And if you can use that time for collaboration and for guidance and for lifting as you grow, it's going to help your team be productive and thoughtful and do great work together.
Yeah, that book is such a great resource and a reminder. Listening to that makes me want to just go back and read it again. They talk about the manager tax and that how that can really impact your profitability and your bottom line. But at the end of the day, too, especially like in a smaller organization, managers have to be doing work. Mm-hmm. They have to be producing things, and they have to be doing it on a different level. That doesn't mean that they can't be doing managerial things. When you're talking about managing, it means is you're overseeing somebody else to make sure that they're getting their job done and that they're being efficient and they're putting things through, right? But I think there's also things that you could be doing to be productive and to be utilized in that. And so that's something that we look at. Great resource, unmanaged book. Definitely check it out. My belly is growling. Do you hear it on the microphone?
I do hear it.
Oh my gosh. We have, I think there's like 2 or 3 more clips, and then let's wrap.
Yeah, because I do have a meeting at 10:30.
Oh, geez, we got to get rolling. Let's skip over us, and let's go to the last 2 here. This is Josh Legal talking about his trip around the world.
I mean, in preparation, right? Like, I think that was even a step out in, like, I don't know what to do. Like, like I said, I've never really traveled. I mean, I have traveled internationally. I've been to Canada.
Yeah.
So not exactly a huge culture shock up there. It's America with kilometers. I mean, that's basically what you're dealing with up there. So it's not very different than what things are like down here culturally. So I was trying to do this simultaneously, like get prepared for everything and simultaneously like be prepared for nothing because you don't actually know what you're going into, and I want to prepare for the wrong thing. So I was really like, from a business standpoint, I just wanted to make sure there was clear goals and objectives set for the business in my absence. Again, not because I don't have a good team there, who can manage everything when I'm not there. But it was really that side of like making sure the ship is still moving forward and not just sort of like stagnating in my absence. It's only a week, but I also recognize the fact that I could get sick while I'm there. I could be out for another week when I get back. I had a friend who went out there actually to the same area, wound up getting a parasite, was knocked down for a couple weeks when he came back, So I knew that there was like risk here. So I had to have things set up in advance of my absence, that it was going to be more than just, here are the 5 or 6 business days that I'm going to be gone, and recognize the fact that this could very quickly become 11, 16 business days, the better part of a month. And are the objectives clearly stated in advance? And, thankfully, shout out to Mike Clark, COO of VIC Solutions, just really holding it down, knowing what's what, making sure things are moving forward. So, I was blessed to be able to have that side of things kind of taken care of. Everybody knew what to do. And then even with at home, again, my wife's a superstar. She manages, getting 3 kids to school every day, bringing them back, getting dinner on the table. Like, she's the best. And so, she was, of course, sad to see me not be there for a week, but simultaneously really excited for me. So I didn't have a whole lot to worry about there. So it was nice. I think emotionally, I had to temper my expectations, because I'm such a planner that at times I can plan out like what's going to be fun and what's not going to be fun, and like emotionally, like how I'm going to deal with it. You know what I mean? Like I can fall into this trap of like ultra planning at times. So I really had to kind of dial it back for myself and say, okay, I want to be totally open to like what is going to happen here, and that I'm not able to control it, but I want to experience it. I want to see, what opportunities are going to come for, meeting people and encouraging people, and like being able to bless the people we're there to serve, and not just going in with this like preconceived, all right, I'm gonna get this done, I'm gonna get this done, I'm gonna get this done, So I really had to be careful not to overhype myself.
Yeah.
And just kind of like let it be what it is.
Plan for the unplanned.
Exactly. But even in that, I can get a little too granular. So I tried to, have the things I needed, not overpack or over worry about like, well, what if this happens or what if that happens? I mean, the other thing you have to realize is like, we're not going to, it is a third world country,
right?
But we're going to be in a major city.
Right.
Like there are still, yes, there are like street side vendors who are selling like, live stock and, things like that. But there are also like small shopping malls where there's like a grocery store and like a restaurant, and, there was a North Face store in the one mall we were
go
by.
From the Ritz-Carlton to...
Right. So there was still opportunity, like, if I needed some new T-shirts or something because mine got lost or ripped or what, I could get what I needed. So I didn't want to overthink it so much that I was like, preparing for like some backwoods safari that I was going to be on for a month or something like that. I wasn't, going off the grid. I was just going to a place that was very unknown to me.
I mean, I could listen to that episode with Josh. Like, I think the 2 things that I drew from that was like the preparation and planning for the unknown is really important. But the most important thing that he said there was like setting expectations. Mm-hmm. Like if you're going out, set expectations for your team. What the expectations for not only for you, but for them too. Like ask them what their expectations are while you're gone. Do they have like, can they just do whatever they want? Do they have the executive decision? Mm-hmm. I mean, and then he was really thoughtful in that, thinking like, whoever thinks that, right? This just happened to me. I went on vacation. Thankfully, like I got sick in the middle of the vacation, so like my end of my vacation sucked. But what happens when you get sick?
Right. Yeah. It's planning for the unplanned, which is something you taught me really well, Dave, but you have to be mindful of that. Plan for the unplanned, even in terms of just your day or recording a podcast. Someone knocked on the door, right? You just have to be prepared for the situations that could come up. But listen to that whole episode with Josh. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love how he talks about getting out of your comfort zone. And I think that that's so critical for life and business.
Last clip here, Todd Koonsman. He was just on the podcast. And this clip is actually early on, but I thought it was really good. So let's listen to Todd here.
Yeah, so it started in my last role where I was working for a company where the whole goal was really to get employees and leaders to be sharing and creating content. So kind of getting the inside scoop of many SaaS companies or B2B companies that were looking to dive into that space, which was really interesting because it was such a new thing when I first joined there back in 2017. And now it's becoming kind of a bigger thing today more than ever. But I think balancing it can be challenging, right? Because it's like you're doing marketing all day, you're doing other kinds of content, copywriting, and then you're like, oh, I have this other thing around my either personal brand or driving awareness to work on too. But I found the more you start doing these things, it just becomes easier and easier. Like now I'm writing things, it takes me 5-10 minutes most days, and it's just becoming second nature. So of course, in the beginning, it was a lot harder. I'm spending hours planning and figuring things out. But then over time, it just kind of gets easier and easier. And then you start to find your balance between working full time, which, hopefully as a marketer, they're supportive of that because LinkedIn is a really important channel these days. So you kind of need to be active there. And you want to work for leaders that understand that too, because they're missing something really important if they are against it. You remember back in the day, it was like, oh, if you're on social media at work, like you'd get fired or something. Like for marketers, like you have to be there. And even non-marketers who are working for B2B or SaaS companies should be active here too. So yeah, I think it's changed. It's been a interesting journey over the years to see how LinkedIn especially has progressed. But I think it's important to be active here and find your balance between the timing of your work and what you're creating personally as well.
I've enjoyed that conversation so much. Talk about hard work. He's always doing something. He's so focused on his 9 to 5 career, we'll call it. He always seems to have a side hustle going on. And he puts himself out there and shares in real time what he's learning from doing the work, from practicing the craft. And I think that that's so important. We're all doing the work. It doesn't have to be hard to talk about it as long as you draw on your authentic experiences and share that. People are interested in that.
Yeah, they are. A side hustle is important. I have a side hustle. You have a side hustle. I think everybody should have a side hustle. Side hustle doesn't mean it has to be like monetizing off of it either. It could literally be picking strawberries and giving them to your family. But doing something like that, you're going to draw different learnings, different skills maybe you didn't even know you had. Like I didn't perfect negotiating overnight. I like when I sell baseball cards, that's negotiation. And you pick up on things, body language, the way that somebody stalls, the way that somebody then just walks away. Those are all things that I've learned to attribute into sales. So I think that's great. What an amazing lineup we had in season 2.
This was fun.
I'm glad that you joined me. Really helped out as my co-host this season. So thank you so much.
Yeah. I loved it.
Awesome.
Can I come back again for season 3?
Yeah, you can do the whole season. No, we are coming back for season 3. Maybe we'll put out a little teaser or something of that. But thank you so much for listening, being a part of this. If you want to become a guest, you can go on agencybalance.com. There is a form. You can drop us a line there. And be on the lookout for another amazing season. And let's get to 10 countries.
Let's do it.
2 more countries in season 3.
Sounds good. Thank you to everyone that listened and joined and open to any feedback, any topics, any speakers. We are listening.
Subscribe to the podcast at agencybalance.com, Apple, YouTube, or Spotify.